It is the Saturday Night Victory Horns, everybody. And they sound for Edson Barboza. And early in that main event, inside the world's most famous Apex, a lot of people didn't think that would be the case because Sodiq Yusuff came out like a house on fire. 10-8 Edson Barboza. Looked like Edson was close to being out of there. But the wily veteran, the strength of schedule, the veteran experience comes through in a big way. He wins the next 4 rounds, even nearly finishes Sodiq Yusuff in round 3, and just a pretty crazy main event of UFC Vegas 81. And thank you for joining us as we recap this here. I am Mike Heck, and joining me, and this might be a historical day for the MMA Fighting YouTube channel and podcast networks. Have we had anybody do 2 post-fight shows in one day? I think I might have done it once, but I don't even know if that's true, Jed Meshew.
I'm built different, Mike Heck. And you know what else is built different? Our viewership numbers. Because I got to tell you, Misfits had a lot more people turn into our YouTube. But all 167 of you, I see you and I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk about this fight, this event. There were some dope things that happened on this event. The main event being one of them. And then some other stuff that were cool. So good to talk about, MMA instead of influencer weirdness.
I'm so glad.
Plus, I get 2 victory horns, Mike. I get 2 victory horns in my life.
I mean, did we use the same music for the Misfit show? Because there shouldn't have been any music leading into that.
Tommy Fury won. Tommy Fury got that W, unanimous decision. Tom Fury.
Yeah, but nobody won. Like, nobody won who watched it. Nobody won who spent the money. If you watch this main event between Edson Barboza and Sodiq Yusuff, I think you felt like you won something. And heading into the festivities, Jed, I was like, this Misfits card is going to be like super weird and kind of probably not good. And then the UFC card, even though it's like not the most stacked lineup of all time, it's almost going to be a card that like we're so glad is on because we need a palate cleanse. We need to feel better about ourselves. We need a combat sports visual shower after dealing with the Misfits card. I kind of feel like this fight card delivered that palate cleanse like at the perfect time for us. Did it not? It wasn't the best card ever, but we got professional fist fights at least for that main card, which is when the Misfits card ended. And I was very happy about that.
Well, by the time I was done with the Misfits card, we were just getting into Arujo Maya, so we could have timed it a little bit better. Wasn't the best place to start being fully devoted to the mixed martial arts, but look, this fight card was pretty much what I thought it was. I think coming into it, we didn't honestly even talk about it on BTL, but like when we talked about it on a damn this week, it's like this fight card isn't great, but there are some fun matchups, some live underdogs, some good things can happen. And we got that. It's a pretty standard issue Apex card at this point. Not going to blow your socks off, but if you spent your evening watching this, you're probably not too upset. And I will push back on we talked about it on the Misfits post show. It wasn't a bad event. Like, was it worth your money? I don't know. That's up to you and how interested you are in those things, but it was roughly a good time. The people there at that event seemed to have a wonderful time, but you still had to pay for that. This fight night was free. Or cost the price of an ESPN Plus subscription. So I think if you left, you had nothing else going on this Saturday night and you watch this, you're feeling okay about your choices because the main event was very, very good, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think like top to bottom, Misfits wasn't bad. Like the Dean the Great fight was probably the best fight of the whole weekend. That fight was insane. That was really good. But just we were left with such a bad taste in our mouths at the end because the last 2 fights were friggin' awful. But
I was not. I knew that those fights were stupid, but they were at least funny.
But
the co-main event was undeniably awful, but funny. The co-main event was quite funny. It was stupid and awful, but it was funny. The main event was terrible, but it was also funny at the end to hear them talk like petulant little children. It was pretty amusing as well.
Yeah, KSI's reaction was great, but we're not here to talk about that. A main event that did.
We already did it. Go to the thumbnail next to this one. You can see what we talked about in the post show if you're into the Misfits.
Well, let's talk about real fighting, real professional fighting the way it's supposed to be done in an empty arena. Edson Barboza, Sodiq Yusuff, This is a very interesting fight at 145 pounds. We hadn't seen Sodiq Yusuff in over a year. Edson Barboza, kind of been up and down. He's fought literally the who's who at 155 and 145 over the last 9 years. We ran off the list in the People's Pre-Fight Show. It's just ridiculous to even look at it. But Sodiq Yusuff, man, comes out and just overwhelms Edson Barboza. Like, Edson's trying to get something going, but Yusuff is landing, and it's like cartoon style, where every punch he lands, Barboza's face is swelling up, a new cut is busted open, he's getting wobbled with every shot, gets dropped, looks like Yusuff's going to get him out of there. He can't. Barboza gets the final horn, and I don't give Herb Dean a lot of credit, Jed. I don't really give Herb Dean a lot of credit. I've aptly nicknamed him Hokey Pokey Herb. I think he deserves that nickname. I got to say, I think he did a great job in this fight. He let Barboza survive. In the third round, when Barboza almost kicked Sodiq Yusuff's head into the third row, he let Sodiq Yusuff battle back and stay in the fight. He did a fantastic job. But in the end, Edson Barboza, the grizzled vet, gets it done. Your thoughts on Barboza's performance, especially after how that first round went?
I mean, it was just that's exactly what you hope to see from a guy like Edson Barboza, right? Like, that is a classy veteran effort right there, because he had the wood put to him in round one, and it was all the ways that he traditionally does. Like, Yusuff just got in his grill and made him eat. Like, it's like, here, take it. And Barboza stayed thing. Wasn't a huge fan of him like trying to roll on those heel hooks off the bottom, just because I thought that actually opened him up to more offense. But he ultimately made it out of the round, recomposed himself, came out in the second round, and turned the tide of the fight. I think they knew that that could happen. Sodiq Yusuff has tended to be a pretty fast starter in his career. And certainly hearing him talk about at the end, the body work being such a big part of his game plan. And I think that paid huge dividends. I think that is, if that's what they kind of envisioned, they nailed it. And it was really, really smart from them, because after that second round, that fight was pretty one-way traffic for Edson Barboza. I mean, Yusuff wasn't out of the fight, but once the body work had time to accumulate, and, they said during the fight that, like, by the middle of round 3, Barboza had landed 46 strikes to the body or whatever. Like, that is just a brutal thing. And it showed. Yusuff, his corner was out there telling him, hey, stoic face, like, pretend this doesn't suck as much as it does. Try and jab, move forward. And Barboza had kind of taken that away. And I was doing the live blog, and I wrote in the 5th round, maybe it was in the 4th round, it was one of those 2 rounds, Barboza is really running out of ideas. He's run out of ideas, and he's run out of safe spaces, because early in the fight, he had the clinch. He could get in there and got that takedown. By the middle of the fight, Barboza was winning the clinch exchanges. Yusuff was trying to jab, but he was getting slipped and countered a lot. Like, that is the textbook definition of a veteran performance: overcoming a bad start and just craft and guile and working your way back into the fight, and then taking over down the stretch.
So I'm looking at the scorecards right now, because I had scored it 4 rounds. Someone on Twitter was like, how could you possibly score the fight the way you did? Because I scored it 48-45 for Edson Barboza, which still
that's the official MMA fighting scorecard, by the way.
Yeah, 4 rounds to 1, a 10-8 for each guy. That's how it all works out. Here's what the cards look like. All 3 judges gave 4 rounds to Edson Barboza. They all gave him 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 of the judges, Derek Cleary, Sal D'Amato, gave Sodiq Yusuff 10-8 in the first round. Good old Chris Lee. I mean, what does Sodiq Yusuff need to hit Edson Barboza with a fucking baseball bat to get a 10-8 round? Like, what else does this guy need to do to get a 10-8 round? That was about as textbook of a 10-8 as you can get. Gives him a 10-9. Round 2, I thought Barboza definitely swung it at the tail end of the second round. He started going to the body. Round 3, Jed, not one judge gave Edson Barboza a 10-8 after the spinning wheel kick almost knocked. Dana White almost held Sodiq Yusuff's head on his lap. That wheel kick was nasty. That was so close to getting stopped. And not one judge gave it a 10-8. Are you surprised by this? That not one judge gave him a 10-8 third?
I'm really surprised by it. It's just objectively stupid. Honestly, it's not even objectively stupid. It's objectively incorrect. There is And the longer we have done this, the more we have kind of gotten to this, the more fights I have attended. I do understand that the live experience is very different than the view you get at home. It's substantially worse in most occasions, actually. And I can understand where some rounds look closer or others, and I can understand how a lot of scores are different. There is no view in the house, at home, on Mars, in alternate dimensions, in which you could watch that and not, according to the rules, say that it has to be a 10-8. Like, legitimately, I think that that is one of the most egregious scorecards of the year. And I know that there are other contenders. We had the whole hubbub about the 10-8 in Agrasso Shevchenko. I'm more willing to acknowledge that than I am this being a 10-9. Fortunately, it ultimately doesn't matter. The outcome of the fight would not have changed. But I think that there's a pretty good argument that that's the worst scorecard of the year.
It's pretty bad. Shaheen Al-Shadi, the wise wordsmith himself, tweeted out exactly what my thoughts were when this fight was over. And we talked about this a lot on the previous show, and I think it's important, so I'm going to read this tweet verbatim. 2 weeks in a row, the old guard is served up as a stepping stone for a younger contender. 2 weeks in a row, the old guard sends that youngster home unhappy. Incredible comeback tonight by Edson Barboza. That was awesome. So great win for Edson Barboza. I think this is probably the least interesting result for the division because as much as we love Edson Barboza and as much as this is a cool thing to watch him go in there and get a win like this, I don't think we come out of this being like, wow, you know what? Edson Barboza can go on a title run right now. I don't think we're going to get that far. Sodiq Yusuff, however, if he goes out there and the roles are reversed here and he wins a 4-1 decision or gets the finish, then we could start thinking of more interesting things here. What could we do with Sodiq? Can he get back in there? His one shot before was on Allen. He lost that fight, but he bounces back, gets a big name, gets a main event spot, and wins. That didn't happen here. So Edson Barboza is probably going to be kind of where he's at, just going to fight good dudes, trying to make it to that next level. But where does Sodiq Yusuff go now, Jed? For a long time, we've just been waiting for this guy to break out, and now he's gotten 2 opportunities against 2 pretty high-ranked guys, and he's fallen short in both of them. Where does he go from here?
Mike, before I answer that, I would like to make my formal Otno suggestion here live on air for your wonderful show tomorrow.
Okay.
It's time, Mike. It's time we do it. The violence gods need blood. They need blood. They demand it. And Calvin Kattar's got to be close to coming back, right? Like he's got to be in the neighborhood of coming back. Just do that. Let's do that for my man Edson.
I feel like Edson's going to be sitting out for a hot minute after the dude. He may have won the fight, but if he sure didn't look
should. Like it. I don't know if he will. Like, also, this is who Edson is now. He just kind of takes a beating. And what would be more fun than watching him and Calvin Kattar beat the souls out of each other? That's the matchup I would like to see. That is my submission on to the next one. As for Sodiq Yusuff, it's a really tough loss. Like he's relatively young. I think he's 30. Maybe he's still 29. And that's good. But he's had a really weird career, right? Like was on a 2-fight win streak coming into this, but that last one was, nothing to write home about. I mean, it was a great win, but does anyone care about Don Shainis as far as like the top of the sport goes? Alex Caceres, that win still aged pretty well as Caceres keeps kind of staying relevant and evolving. But I mean, functionally at this point, Sodiq Yusuff has now twice gotten a chance against a sort of higher end guy and twice fallen short in competitive fights, but he's going to have to fight backwards. He's going to drop in the UFC's rankings. I don't know if he's in our rankings or if he's a Favre. I think I had him like at 15, but he's probably going to lose whatever spot if he has one in our rankings, and he's just going to have to fight backwards. And he said it in his post-fight interview, it was a tough loss, but I could have done some things different, but I'll come back from this. And I think that a lot of that is true because he did show some stuff, but I got a ton of respect for Edson Barboza. But if you want to be a guy who's making a real run in this weight class, you can't be losing this iteration of Edson Barboza. And again, I love Edson Barboza. I picked him to win this fight. I picked him to beat Billy Q, but I think Billy Q is a fun action fighter, fringe top 20-ish guy. And that's kind of where he caps out. And I think that probably means something similar for Sodiq Yusuff here. good fighter, but Giga Chikadze, Bryce Mitchell, those dudes won this fight and they are dudes in this weight class. And Sodiq Yusuff caught a worse Edson Barboza, even more worn, and couldn't do it. And I don't know where he goes from here other than to keep picking up wins and try and put something together. But I have a lot of doubts that he's ever going to really make a run towards the top 10 and sort of a highly competitive possible title challenger role in this weight class.
Yeah, the stakes are definitely higher for Sodiq Yusuff in this fight. No doubt about it. I think it kind of closes the door on title contention for him. Not saying he can't have a long and successful career in the UFC, but featherweight's
he's going to be like Dan Ige. He's going to be like Danny Ige.
Maybe.
He's going to hang around the top 15-ish. Maybe a little worse than Danny Ige, though he still has time to develop. But like, he's never going to get close to a title shot. And I think that is what this loss was. And that's tough.
Yeah. We do have bonuses. No surprise here.
Let's play the guessing game.
We'll play the guessing game. There is a fight. Obviously, there's a fight of the night. So we're not even going to pick.
I'm going to say we're not going to. I'm going to go ahead and say the main event fight of the night.
Although I will say the Melissa Dixon Arena Alexieva fight was really fun. They beat the
crap out of each other. Try to tell y'all about Melissa Dixon. Yeah, they got screwed. They didn't get screwed because they don't deserve to win it over Barbosa Yusuff. That fight is better and more interesting. But like they had a hand on that check. They were both kind of holding it, and then it got yoinked right out of there like a cartoon from them. So tough for those women.
You know, it's unfortunate. If Yusuff and Barboza didn't do what they just did, I don't think there would have been a fight of the night. I think they would have done the whole 4 performance bonus thing. But they didn't do that. I think they would have. Who do you think got performance bonuses? They only gave out 2, Jed.
I would bet my soul that Michelle Pereira got one.
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say, please tell me I didn't just lose my soul on a stupid bet, but I would have been shocked if Michelle Pereira and his 12-second knockout up a weight class didn't earn him that.
Minute 6. There are a bunch of finishes on this card.
Yeah, but Terrence McKinney also knocked a dude out in like 4 seconds, so I'm assuming he got the other.
He did not.
Did they give it to? I mean, if you're going, I know this is a Casey stand. Like Casey loves to say this, and I like fundamentally agree with it. If you're going by performance, Jonathan Martinez deserves a performance bonus, but I feel like he wouldn't get one. Did he?
Did get
Good
one.
For them.
Yep.
That is, well, they usually do them like
they got it right.
Epic one-shot KOs or whatever. Not, I'm going to break this man's leg off. But I mean, he deserves it. That is arguably the most impressive performance of the evening, even including the main event.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I know Terrence McKinney won in 20 seconds, and I have a lot of respect for Brendan Marat. I like the guy a lot. Fellow New Englander. Respect him. But we knew how this fight was going to go. We knew that Terrence was probably going to finish him in the first round. Terrence, by the time they fought, was probably like a minus 600 favorite. I don't even know if that's true, but no one expected this fight. No one expected Terrence McKinney to lose this fight, nor even struggle, nor even get out of the first round. And Terrence landed one big knee, gets him out of there. It's the way the fight was supposed to go. But man, what Jonathan Martinez did tonight was incredibly impressive because, look, Viviane Araújo, gutsy performance. I thought Jennifer Maia won that fight, but I'm not arguing it at all. It was what it was. Jennifer Maia, some pretty bad fight IQ in the 3rd round. I think if she just kind of kept hitting her against the fence, she wins the fight. But she didn't do that, and she lost. Maybe she lost the first round too. I don't know. Weird fight. Wasn't great. Good bounce back for Araújo, but Jonathan Martinez, the silence behind the violence, Jed Meshew. This was the fight. This is low-key banger central. This is the one everybody had their eye on that wasn't a main event or wasn't a circus fight. We have Jonathan Martinez in a 5-fight win streak, just beat Nurmagomedov in a fight that a lot of people, if we go through MMA decisions, thought Nurmi won. Martinez fights Adrian Yanez, who's looked great in the UFC, has his first octagon setback against Rob Font, a man who at one time you believed was the best bantamweight in the world.
We can't know if I was right or wrong.
Now we don't know. We can't
know. He may have been in that very specific window.
Yes. And Jonathan Martinez just beat the brakes off Adrian Yanez. Those leg kicks were so nasty.
Wasn't particularly competitive.
Yeah, it was surprising. It really was. Like, I'm not surprised Jonathan won, but the fact that Adrian mounted like almost no effective offense in the entirety of that fight is crazy. Like, Adrian obviously landed punches, but Jonathan just delegged
Martinez's
him.
defense looked fantastic too.
He's just
Like,
getting better and better and better. He's scary, man.
He is the guy who opened my eyes the most on this card, because like I said coming into this, that he's been fine but hasn't been like wildly impressive to me. Just because of what his wins were. Cub Swanson's well past his prime. Alejandro Perez is like a decent enough win or whatever, and Said Nurmagomedov also, the worst Nurmagomedov, like still a fine fighter, but that's, that it just, none of it had shocked me. And we talked about a no bets part. I still have the Davy Grant bad taste in my mouth from that performance, but he looked is the best he's ever looked tonight. He looked really, really, really good in there in all facets of it. And dude's a legit problem at 135.
Calls out Merab. Love it. Not going to
Never
get
gonna
it,
happen.
but I love it.
Never going to happen. Never going to happen.
Listen, John, I actually thought that was a really smart call out. He's not going to get it.
Like, gotta call it like Umar.
That's not a bad call out. That actually probably would
like,
be better.
Everyone should call out Umar, because you might get it because nobody will fight that dude. So, like, you might get it by virtue of no one else will take it.
The pettiness of the UFC as it involves Merab Dvalishvili, it'd be kind of hilarious if Merab is just like, I want this title shot, I deserve it, and everybody knows it, and they're like, hey, you're going to fight a 3-round main card opener at the Apex against Jonathan Martinez. Oh, God, that'd be so crazy. But just outstanding. The silence behind the violence just getting better. You can see he's getting more confident. The personality starting to shine. He spoke like 38 words in his post-fight interview with Michael Bisping. What a night. What a night for TSB TV. Well done.
Yeah, I'll watch him fight anybody at this point. I'm just looking at the bantamweight and like, he's going to get an opportunity now, and I just don't know who it's going to come against, but they're all awesome.
I got a name in mind.
Pedro Munoz doing?
That's not a bad one.
Pedro can defend leg kicks.
Yeah. That's not a bad one. Could be. Maybe that's Otno pick number 2. He just beat Chris Gutierrez. Jonathan could try to exact a little revenge for his teammate. Lots of leg kickers tonight. Lots of bantamweight leg kickers.
So many legs
from Factory X from the same gym. One thing we talked about in No Bets Barred is the middleweight division.
I can't believe we didn't do a Factory X parlay. Like the bantamweight leg kick parlay. That is such a lot. Like, that's what a fail. That's on me. I'm good with the gimmicks, and I just missed it. Hand up.
Yeah.
Hand up.
Okay. I'll give it to you. It's definitely on you.
It's on me.
Michel Pereira. Middleweight Michel Pereira, Jed Meshew. We thought him moving up to 185, well, he could still have some of that chaos that we all fell in love with. We felt like he's kind of a tamer version, that if he had moved up like 2 years ago, maybe he would be the undisputed middleweight champion. We thought that was a very strong possibility here, that Michel Pereira at his age, after putting his body through so many weight cuts to 170, and just that style just not being as chaotic as it once was, maybe he's the new middleweight contender. Nope, not at all. He just ethers Andre Petroski in 68 seconds. He should have made this move forever ago. What the hell is he waiting for? Middleweight Michel Pereira, how excited are you about this, considering how fun this division has gotten this year?
This is what I always wanted for my large adult son. And that's who Michel Pereira is. Me and AK Lee were on the Pereira train for ages and ages because of all his ridiculous like regional highlights. And you would just see it pop up. Caposo would be like, hey, here's Michel Pereira in arena fighting challenge or whatever, doing a backflip onto some guy. And it's just like, this guy's insane and it's awesome. And he gets to the UFC and he does that for a couple of fights and he gasses out because he's cutting 1 billion pounds of weight, and that doesn't work out very well for him. And then he stops and he like reinvents his style and he's no longer bringing the craziness. And it's like, well, now this is just sad. What could have been? But if he can do this at middleweight, where he can feel a little more free to express himself because he's not cutting a billion pounds of weight, and he can have a little bit more confidence in his cardio, and he can do super violent stuff, but also be a little bit more reserved, not get like totally out over his skis. That would be the perfect endpoint for him. So I am hopeful that with a terrific start here, we'll get to see him try and do like some backflip guard passes on the Nasruddin Imavovs of the world,
Just like some of the matchups we could get with him in this division, pretty fun. Some pretty fun matchups. Like there's eventually going to be a world we live in where him and Paul Craig fight each other, and I don't know if there's anything I want more in the world than seeing those two guys fight each other.
When you say there's a world, that world's now. Just book that fight. Do that.
But Paul Craig's about to fight for the middleweight title in a main event.
Oh, who's he fighting?
Brendan Allen, November 18th.
You probably can't put Pereira against the winner of that. Put him against the loser of that fight and hope it's Paul Craig.
Nah, the loser of the fight fights Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer fights the loser of that fight.
We're not here for that. That's mean.
Fair enough.
That's just mean to those poor souls.
Christian Rodriguez needs to get the weight stuff under control. I really think that the 4 pounds
looked really good.
In this fight. He looked good. No, the fight was awesome. It was
probably
a great fight.
Did. Probably made a difference, but it looked great.
He cuts those last 4 pounds. It might be a different. Cameron might win that fight, but it was super close. I thought all 3 rounds are incredibly close. Right guy won for sure. I have no issue with 30-27s. Great fight. Good performance. Christian Rodriguez got a lot of skill. He saw, but he's got to get this weight thing under control. He can't miss weight again. Like these are bad. These are big misses.
I mean,
25% of the purse. Like me. I mean, look at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it doesn't come out of his win.
25% of the purse, but he's getting that extra purse for the dubs. So
exactly.
I mean, when you think about it, that's just a business transaction for him. If he keeps coming in at 140, fighting dudes at 135, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for him. That's a good deal.
Always cheat. Darren Elkins doing Darren Elkins-y things, submits TJ Brown with just the bloodiest face you'll ever see.
Man, it was a tough day to be a young pup trying to take out an old dude, huh?
Yes. Tainara Lisboa gets the win, capping off a parlay for me, which I was very happy about. Terrence McKinney, 22nd knockout.
I told you, Mike. I told you Terrence McKinney TKO round 1 was just like, I don't even care what the odds were. I ended up getting it plus money. It was terrific.
Yeah, I didn't even I ended up pulling the trigger on just
17 of 21 fights have ended in the first round. 17.
I got him by KO minus 105, so I was at least happy about that. Fine. And obviously that helped one of my other parlays because under 2.5 was about the biggest no-brainer, or under 1.5 is like the biggest no-brainer of all time. I almost cashed Melissa Dixon, Arena Alexieva under 2.5. I felt so good about that, and I was gonna kind of brag about that pick. And for some reason, like these women just didn't get finished, even though there were multiple chances for that fight to be stopped. It just didn't happen. But great fight. Those two beat the hell out of each other. Really enjoyed it. Chris Gutierrez, just a workman-like win against Alatang Haley. Speaking of like Alatang Haley looked like he had an alien about to come out of his leg. Those are just some nasty leg kicks. Alatang Haley, super tough. And maybe the easiest pick of the entire card in terms of who would win and how. Emily Ducote beats Ashley Yoder by unanimous decision. Ducote gets it done. 13-8. Ashley Yoder now, her record is 8-9 as a professional mixed martial artist. So there you go. That's UFC Vegas 81.
Yep. Now y'all know about my girl Melissa Dixon, who I ranked in the UFC in the MMA fighting women's bantamweight rankings like a year and a half ago, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is that?" And I was like, "I don't know. She's 6-0 in Aries, and she just beat the other woman I had ranked, so we're good." This is great, and also shout out to Spencer Kite, who before that fight described Irina Alekseeva as a bag of feral cats, which made me laugh a lot. So yeah, that's all I got to say on this undercard.
Yes, we're gonna take some questions. By the way, if you thought, like in the midst of all of this craziness going on with Misfits and stuff, there's another fight that people seem to care about that's about to happen in a little while. First of all, I'm watching this card. This is Caged Aggression Bad Blood. I'm watching it.
Why do we keep putting old dudes in this cage, Mike? Because I'm watching it too. And this man,
he's got to be 57. He's got to be 57.
He is 1,000% in his 50s, about to fight a fit
That's like
young
a 40.
man.
Oh, dude, he look. He
might, this young dude he is about to fight is quite fit, and this dude is like a softish man with an almost fully gray beard. I am not exaggerating. That beard is almost fully gray. Ain't like a silver fox in this. It's like he's one step away from Golden Bachelor. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
If you watch those old Just for Men commercials in like the late 90s,
he is the before.
He's the before. This guy is the before. So maybe he'll go out there and just ice him. I don't know. But yes, Pat Miletich.
And the young kid freaking Imanari rolls to start the fight. He is 30 years younger than this man, and he just fires off an Imanari roll from across the cage that comes nowhere near getting it. What a hero this young man is. My new favorite fighter. He didn't want to hurt the old man. Tried to Imanari him. Just roll up onto a leg. And now he immediately takes it back as soon as he starts fighting.
Dude, this fight's over. It's got to be over. Oh, flatten him out. Yep, he hasn't even thrown a punch. No, don't punch him.
What is happening?
This is awful.
What? Who sanctioned this?
I have to turn it off. I have to.
Casey, do you have the link? Are you watching this too? Oh, you're on mute, Casey. But yeah, it's about to be over. He's attacking a choke, but I'm not even kidding. This man's beard is almost entirely gray. He's tapping out, and like, look, he's looked really fit for a 55-year-old guy. And like, credit to him. I hope I'm that fit when I'm 55, but like, that is legitimately dangerous and probably criminal matchmaking in a reasonable world.
But he defended the Imanari roll though. He stopped the leg lock.
It's because
the Imanari roll didn't actually make contact. He shot it from so far out that the guy just kind of looked at him on the mat.
The referee said fight, and he slid to the ground.
It really looked. It honestly looked like it might have been his first time ever trying to Imanari.
Oh my god! All right, we'll take a couple questions.
All right,
yes, sure. I'm so oddly intrigued by Pat Miletich, Mike Jackson, and I don't know why. I don't know.
That old man might win though. So.
He probably will. Patty boy might win this fight.
All right. First question from Mr. Joseph Boza.
Should round one have been a 10-7 Sodiq, or is Bisping just full of it? So I'll let you talk about this, Jed, because I believe the official MMA fighting score was different than the score you submitted at MMA Decisions. Is that accurate?
That is correct. I did that twice tonight. So officially we scored that at 10-8 in MMA fighting, mainly because I think that is I largely try to score those how I think the judges are going to, mixed in with sort of what I think, but I also recognize that I have much more liberal interpretations on some of these rules, and so I don't kind of push those out in my scoring. I think that round should be a 10-7 pretty clearly to me. I was actually pretty pro what Bisping was saying there, and that round was a pillar to post ass kicking. At no point in that round did Edson Barboza produce meaningful offense. He was spent 5 minutes getting clubbed, nearly got finished on a couple of occasions, and I don't know what the stats were, but it had to have been like 80-2 or whatever. Like, that's, to me, that fight is about as clear of a 10-7 that can be offered if you believe that 10-7 should exist outside of referee error, because there's a subset of people that interpret those rules as saying 10-7 should only happen when the ref screwed up and didn't stop the fight and should have. And that is a credible way to read the rules, honestly. To me, I think that 10-7s can exist absent referee error, and that to me was a clear 10-7 because like I believe Edson Barboza on the next stage of this. I gave Edson Barboza both officially on our scorecards a 10-8 for round 3. I do not believe rounds 1 and round 3 were the same level of round. Like to me, round 1 was clearly a more dominant, more damaging round than round 3, and thus should warrant earning more for that. So I think 10-7 is actually the correct score. But I also recognize that I have much more liberal interpretation on some of these scorings.
Yeah, for me, I had no issue giving it a 10-7, and basically for me, anything can be a 10-7 when we're watching a fight. And if the ref would have stopped it, we would have gone okay. And I felt if the ref would have stopped it that first round, there wouldn't be a big hoopla like that was a horrible stoppage. It would be like, sucks Barboza couldn't work his way out, and we have a completely different storyline tonight. But yeah, I have no like, if was it Herb Dean tonight in the main event?
I actually thought he did quite well tonight.
He did.
Herb's been doing pretty good lately.
I think he heard some of the criticism. I think he heard some of the criticism and stepped his game up a bit. I'm just saying. But
he's the most improved referee. Like in the back half of the year, he's the most improved referee in my eyes.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I can remember him doing something. I'm like, that's just bad, dude. Like he's really had a good year.
Yeah, no issues. Yeah, was there a little were fans upset about the whole suggesting it's a 10-7 or
no? I don't think so. They should know.
Well, it just seemed like Dominic Cruz was pushing back, and then that kind of became that because Bisping, and Cruz were having their sort of tiff in there. I don't even want to harp on the commentators for not having this because like they should, but whatever. Like at this point, just get the same way that any other professional sports broadcast has like a former rules official or whatever to loop in and be like, hey, let's talk to you, Pat, about what's the call here on this instant replay. You just bring them in and be like, hey, Bisping and Cruz are talking about that round and should it be a 10-7? Let's loop in. I mean, obviously this won't happen because Big John doesn't work with them, but like, let's go to Big John in the booth. John,
Frank Trigg in there.
Yeah. Chris Lieben's judging should be like, Chris, tell us your perspective. Like, you could do this in a better way than they are fumbling through this consistently.
Didn't Ratner used to do that for a little bit for the UFC broadcast? And then when they bring out
vaguely
Ratner,
seems familiar.
Yeah. But it was yeah. I wish. Okay. Cool.
That's what they should do though. 100%.
Yeah. All right.
Another Joseph Boza question. Is the rest of the question just terrible? Is that what it is?
Oh, we got
mix it up a little bit. We'll go through this one though. Should Christian Rodriguez be more forced to move up to featherweight?
Is it
probably
2 fights now.
Well, he also blew weight on a Contender Series too.
Is that okay? That's what it was.
Yep. So
his next fight should have to be a featherweight.
Yeah. Yeah. He's made weight successfully once in the UFC. Is that right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. The JSP fight, he made weight and then got beat. So yeah.
Because that was a featherweight fight.
Also, yeah, that's actually good point, Mike. Good point.
He made weight for that one.
He's made weight for one of these weight classes. Let's go with that one moving forward.
Yeah, because he missed for the Raul Rosas Jr. fight too, which is insane, dude. How do you miss weight for that?
I think anytime you miss weight twice, you should get bumped out of a weight class.
Josh Weems, he did make weight for the Josh Weems fight. He did make weight for that fight.
Like, yeah,
130.
I'm willing to give you
2 in a row. He's best.
I'm willing to give you one, particularly if it's under regular circumstances. Like maybe we could make we could bend the rules if you're accepting a short notice fight for some reason or another. But if you got this on the book and you miss weight twice, you're just bump up.
Yeah,
you might do better. Look at Michelle Pajeda.
Yeah, was that a forced move up, or did he do it, or a little of both?
I would assume that it was more forced, but could be a little of both.
Okay. Yeah.
When he missed weight for the Wonder Boy, I think they probably were just like, "Hey, homie, we're not doing this anymore."
Yeah, was scratched. Yeah, completely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's the problem when they miss weight and a fight still happens. then they're like,
you
well,
talk yourself into it.
Yeah.
Edson Barboza, future Hall of Famer. It's funny because that was mentioned on the broadcast a couple of times that it brought up some dialogue in the Slack channels.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there is no MMA Hall of Fame. We're talking UFC Hall of Fame.
UFC Hall of Fame.
Yes. Is Edson Barboza a Hall of Famer, a UFC Hall of Famer?
I think he is.
I do too.
Like third ballot, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the thing is, I understand the trepidation against it. I have always been of the opinion that Hall of Fame should be more inclusive as opposed to exclusive, because like, what sort of sanctity are we trying to preserve here? You don't want to let everybody in, but like Edson Barboza is a meaningful part of the MMA and UFC experience. He has fought everybody dope. He is responsible for a number of important highlights. I am a big believer that the UFC needs to open up their Hall of Fame outside of doing a fight that they induct, but also doing a knockout and a submission that they induct every year. And by that term, the Terry Edom KO is one of the 12 best KOs in the history of the sport and absolutely merits inclusion, and thus he would. But in general, like, he's just had a bunch of dope fights. His pair of fights with Paul Felder are dope. He's going to probably be sort of all over the UFC record books, maybe not at the top, but he'll be sort of in there for post-fight bonuses, which he already is like in there, fights, knockouts, all that stuff. So yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's not an automatic include, but one of these years you let him in because he was a meaningful part of the experience.
And he's had the toughest strength of schedule in the history of the UFC.
It's right there.
I honestly believe that he has the hardest strength of schedule of anybody in the history of the sport who wasn't a champion. Because you get champions and, every champion fight is always impossible, right? Like, because they're always defending the best guy. And even then after, they're still fighting really top dudes. But for a guy who never held a belt, I do not know that anyone can compete with the list of bodies he has fought. Like, it's
insane.
Tough. And the fact that he's still so freaking durable, because like Yusuff was putting the wood to him and he still just kind of battled through, and he's still here despite getting his ass kicked for 13 years by some of the best guys in the world.
And becoming equally as durable at a lower weight class when he was already shredded at 55. So yeah, I hope he's a Hall of Famer. And I was thinking,
shouts to Gino the Nose, who called Barbosa the Craig Biggio. The Craig Biggio level Hall of Famer. I'm like, you know what? Kind of works.
I like baseball analogies, baby. Yeah, baseball Biggio, analogies. Baby. These cage aggression fights are like starting and ending so quickly. We've already gone to another fight, and we already have a knockout.
I'm shocked given these matchups. Jesus.
That Barboza Edom knockout, is that the oldest highlight clip that we continually see in the UFC rotation?
It's tough for me to say because I don't really watch the highlight intros anymore. I'm just doing stuff, but
because every time I see like non-Reebok, non-Venom type of highlights, it always kind of pops now. It sticks out, and they're getting very rare. And
it's probably Chuck Liddell highlight.
No, active fighter. Like they're
active fighter. Yeah, active fighter almost certainly is because there aren't that many active fighters who have a KO that's 12 years old. Yeah. 11. Sorry, I just looked.
Or just like that in general.
Yeah, and they run it like it happened yesterday. That's what I mean. So I just think that's really, really interesting.
Dude, when he did it again, I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, he's going to have another wheel kick. He's going to be the first guy with two of them.
I thought Herb was definitely going to stop it. And
if
then
he tried to punch him instead of going for the choke.
I couldn't believe he did that.
An unnamed member of the MMA fighting team was slacking me and was like, why the hell does he hate me? Why is he going for this choke? Does he know I have this KO ticket? I can't believe I'm about to lose this bet.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't you. It was another member.
I did also hold. I was actually holding the same ticket as well, but very smartly, after like halfway through round 2, I hedged on Barboza live.
Live bets are
so big. It all worked out. I lost a lot of bets, but I emptied the clip on Dylan Dennis, Logan
Best
Paul actually happens, I literally bet and look, I'm not betting like lots of money here. Like a unit to me is like $2. This is like the biggest combat sports bet I ever made. I unload like whatever dollar amount I had left over just for the year ever bet. Like there would have been no more watch party bets if that fight got canceled. But I went in and put it all on the fight happens. And when that first bell rang and they started walking towards each other, I was like, I don't care what happens the rest of the night. It's a profitable night.
And it was a terrific bet. I followed you on
if you could have found the DQ bet somewhere, you would have paid off your mortgage.
Yeah, I told you in the preview show. I'm like, if I could find a DQ prop, I'm taking it.
A DQ prop.
And I said on the preview show too. That's what I would. That's what I would bet on if I could.
That was the official conclusion, right? It was DQ, correct? It wasn't decision.
DQ. Right? So anybody who had Logan Paul by decision got boned by Dylan Dennis,
which they deserve. That's what Dylan Dennis does.
Yeah. Yep.
Comeback of the year.
Ooh, main event.
It gotta be the main event that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I am not Jose in my ability to just like recall these things off the cuff. So give me a second to.
We have to be forgetting. I know we're like forgetting a big one.
Do we have a category for that in our yearly
did.
stuff? We do.
We do.
But you wrote it down here.
But we didn't add
There's
anything.
Nothing under it. Nothing's been added under it. Under this.
Yeah.
Comeback of the year. If we're talking specifically in fight, it's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
I'm trying to just look through main events and see if something is jumping out at me from this year that was like a super big comeback.
Our listeners and our viewers are very good at this.
Yeah.
Oliveira beating Dariush was a pretty good
comeback. No, it's not comeback. Well, maybe it depends on your thing, but I would argue pretty strongly that Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira 2 is comeback of the year. I thought Pereira was beating him.
Yeah, but the first round was like, I mean, there was an exchange there where like, oh, maybe he might be wobbling a little bit, but I don't know. It's tough.
It's not as clear, but I would vote that. Looking through. Strickland Abus is an argument there. Looking through. Nothing that looks as dominant as this.
Yeah, and no one's really throwing anything out in the comment section that we're forgetting either. So it might be.
I can't.
Maybe it is.
I'd have to look a lot more because none of the main events are jumping out to me as majors in that regard.
I mean,
so.
He came back from a 10-7. 10-7 from a beating.
Yeah, it's a big comeback. Yeah, I'm tentatively willing to give this at the moment until more research.
All right.
Great call, Super Dave.
Good job.
Let's go back to Mr. Boza.
Does Pereira have a career resurgence now at middleweights? Won 6 in a row, didn't break sweat, needs 666. Wow. I mean, I think we're a little.
I don't know that his career's resurging. Like you said in this question, he won 5 in a row before this at welterweight. He was doing fine. He was a ranked welterweight. He was doing fine. I think he's just gonna keep doing fine.
I think we might see him fight more now because he doesn't have this massive weight cut. So maybe this is he just might be more active. How old is Michel Pereira? He's
like 30 something, I think. Let me check.
He's past 35.
He's 30. He just turned 30.
Oh, it's just 30. Okay, he's got years.
That's it? I thought he's only 30.
Just turned 30 October 6th, according to Wikipedia. You know how true that is or not.
That's pretty stunning. I thought he was
32,
way older. I thought he was like, I don't know why. I thought he was like 36 or something.
I have questions about his long-term viability at middleweight. I think it probably is a better weight class for him, but at this exact moment in time, welterweight is sort of in this weird flux period where he could have maybe made more hay and moved up the rankings against some older dudes, whereas middleweight has kind of a lot of guys who are on the come up, and I want to see him match physicalities with people, right? But like, the heaters at middleweight are coming, and I don't know that Michel Pereira is holding up to Joe Pyfer, to Bo Nickel, to those guys. So I think he'll be a top 15-ish guy.
Dude, I have the fight. I'll
Paul Craig
tomorrow.
Is the fight. You nailed it.
It's not fight. It's not.
I accept
it. No, I'm saying that is a fight that is going to happen. It's not happening next. It's not happening next because I have the right fight, and I will announce it tomorrow.
I'm excited for Otno tomorrow. Then.
Oh yeah, you got to give it. You got to give it to the guy that nobody believed in a year ago, except for me,
Alexander Volkanovski. You friggin' walked right into that one. Walked right into that one, baby.
That's very funny. Very funny. Do you have anything more? Do you have anything else?
I'm not ending on anything better than that.
Yeah. We talked about Jonathan Martinez. Yeah, we're all high on him. I got a couple.
That dude is a freaking problem, man.
I like it. You know what? I think we're good, gentlemen.
I think we need to take like another shower. I gotta take another shower before I watch.
Also, this caged aggression thing has got to be coming to an end soon, right?
We've had like since we started, like the post fight show's only been going on for like 23 minutes, maybe. We've had like 9 fights on this card already.
I still straight up do not know who that old man was because he does not appear to be in this list of fights from this event.
He'll be fighting later tonight again.
Another fight's happening. When is this main event going to start? I feel like I'm going to be up to like 2
I thought it was at like 11.
I think it's like 11 Central. So yeah, we could have like
Wait a second. Brandon Mills? That kind of looks like who you were. This is impossible. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Right,
I had a great time, guys. What a night of combat sports.
What a day.
And it's not over yet. Caged aggression. Go to your pay-per-view provider to spend $50.
It's Josh. We're getting Josh Clark versus Bryn Heathcock.
So this is the fight right before the co-main event per Tapology.
Yes. And then we're getting Jordan Clark, another Clark, back-to-back Clarks. Could be a gimmick parlay.
Isn't Matt Hughes' son supposed to be fighting on this card?
Brandon Mills. He's in the co-main event.
I did not realize Matt Hughes' son was not named Hughes. Okay, that's why I was struggling there. Got it.
Yep. All right, so we're almost there, everybody. And I believe it's like $47 to order this paper.
What?
Stick to MMA fight. Specific number?
That's what I was told. Yeah. Stick to MMA fight.com. We'll let you know what happens.
We have a live blog and a recap. I think you'll be covered with those. Please save
AK and I'll see you tomorrow. AK and I'll see you tomorrow and on to the next one. Guys, it's UFC 294 fight week. Very soon. Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.